Daniel wasn't meant to be home that night. Told me his trip would keep him away until Sunday. And I had clung to that, foolishly thinking I still had time. Time to untangle the mess I'd created. Time to lie to myself a little longer that it wasn't all so terribly wrong. But time had a way of catching up, and mine had just run out. I heard the front door cack open before I saw anything. Just a soft click, and then the unmistakable sound of footsteps. My heart lurched. For a split second, I tried to rationalize. It may be a neighbor. Maybe I'd imagined it altogether. But then I turned around and he was there. Daniel stood motionless in the doorway, his overnight bag still slung over one shoulder. His face gave away nothing but his eyes, dark and steady, moved from me to Ethan, who sat beside me on the couch, half covered by a blanket, his shirt on the floor in plain sight. The air was thick, laced with the unmistakable scent of sweat, perfume, and something else far heavier. Guilt. Ethan reacted first, scrambling upright, grabbing at his clothes in a panic. He muttered something, but I couldn't make out the words. Daniel didn't flinch. He didn't even look at Ethan as though he didn't exist. His eyes were locked on mine, and I wished more than anything that he would explode, scream, curse, throw. Something. Anything would have been easier than the cold, devastating silence. I opened my mouth, my voice fragile. Daniel. But he held up a hand, halting my words before they fully formed. He set his bag down on the floor with eerie calm, each movement deliberate and slow, as though he were holding himself together with sheer force of will. Ethan still hovered awkwardly, half-dressed and unsure. I should go, he mumbled, and after a moment's hesitation slipped past Daniel and out the door. Then it was just the two of us. The quiet was unbearable. I inhaled, but it felt like my lungs wouldn't fill. Nothing I could say would be enough. Daniel didn't move. He just stared. At me, his expression unreadable, should have been enraged. He had every reason to be. But instead, he just looked exhausted. I came home early, he said finally, his voice steady, too steady. I wanted to surprise you. Guilt punched through my chest. Daniel, he gave a soft, bitter chuckle, though his face didn't change. I always thought if something like this happened, I'd lose it. I'd yell, break something, demand answers. He shook his head slightly. But I don't feel that. I don't feel anything except tired. That was when it truly hit me. Not in some cinematic crash of horror, but in the small details, the way his shoulders sagged. The subtle crack in his voice. I hadn't just made a mistake. I'd broken something real, something we'd both spent years building. I'd done it without thinking of what it might cost him. I never meant to hurt you, I whispered. He let out a breath and rubbed his face, his gaze finally shifting away from me. But you did. The silence that followed was suffocating. I wanted to reach out to touch him, to say something, anything that could bring us back to before. But I didn't know what words could even begin to repair this. Before I could speak, he moved toward the dresser. My chest tightened as I watched him pull open the top drawer and retrieve a small velvet box. My stomach dropped. Box once, tucked away when I was looking for socks. I hadn't dared open it, but I'd known. I'd imagined the moment it would appear. I'd pictured him kneeling, asking me to be his forever. I had even imagined the tears of joy, how perfect it would be. Now, Daniel opened the box slowly, revealing a ring that was simple, elegant, beautiful. His fingers trembled slightly as he held it up. I was going to propose this weekend, he said quietly. I've been planning it for months.
My throat burned, my vision blurred. Daniel, please.
He closed the box gently with a soft snap, slipped it back into his pocket, and took a deep breath, as if forcing himself to remain standing. Then he looked at me one last time. I hope he was worth it, he said, voice barely more than a whisper. And then he walked away. He didn't slam the door. He didn't shout. He just left, and he never came back. And that more than anything else broke.